the Happy Hour Podcast with your host, Joel Fleischman.
Hey, welcome to Joel Fleischman Happy Hour Podcast, episode number 30. I have Mike Rahn and Neil Altman here with me, leaders of our systems production team. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
All right, so we do have an official sponsor. Central Waters Brewery out of Amherst, Wisconsin is our official sponsor and have dropped off some wonderful beer. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Open them up now. Here we go. Oh, yeah. I'm still rocking a Busch Light. Don't be mad at me, Jason. Shout out to Jason Blinker.
He'll get over it.
Our official sponsor. I got to just drink up this Busch Latte. Can't let them rot in the fridge. What do you guys got there?
Hellas. Lager. It's delicious.
How do you like it?
My question is, how many times did you have to poke him on the podcast to get the
Quite a
official
few.
sponsors?
I did. Yeah, we had to do some poking. But we're there. Yeah, how do you like it?
Very good.
Yeah, it's not
Just
too
because
bad.
they're a sponsor, you don't got to say you like it.
No, it's
I
good.
like it
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah, it's like
Not
a.
too heavy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I like the honey blonde.
You like the Honey Blonde?
Yeah.
That's their
Probably my
number
favorite.
one seller.
Yeah.
He thinks this one's going to move up the charts, though. I'm like, yeah, I would take this over Honey Blonde Ale.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would. You? Just like the ale better?
That honey blonde is real close to like a Leinenkugels.
Yeah, it really
Honey
is.
Waste?
Yeah, yep, that's a good.
Yeah. But, I don't know. It's hard to knock that one off the top of the podium. I think
Awesome.
It's gonna stay put.
Well, welcome, guys. So, I don't know how we want to get started here. It's always a clunky start. I guess I like to start usually, how do we know each other, right? So, I guess I've known Mike longer, so we'll maybe start with him.
I've been with Drexel for 2 years and 8 months now.
And what you done in your career?
I've been in the truss industry for 38 years. 28 years with Richco Structures. They kind of downsized in the 2010, 2011 market was kind of iffy at that time. They decided they had to shut one plant down. We were in De Pere. Other location was in Sheboygan Falls, and that's pretty much where the history of Richco came from, was in that area. It was a shocker at that time, being there for 28 years, and what am I going to do after this? We had the choice of going to Sheboygan, but it was an hour and 25-minute drive.
For 28 years, you had been at De Pere?
Yep. And was actually, we built more volume out of that place than Sheboygan, but they decided to keep the name closer to Sheboygan because that's where they all grew up and that's where the history was. So it was kind of a shock that we had to shut down, but talked to my wife, it's like either drive that hour and some to work every day or look for something else. And there was a few people that went to Truss Systems, and we had like a 3-month time that it was going to finally shut down. So we had 3 months to figure out what we were going to do, and talked to my wife about it. It's like, I'm late 40s, you know, it's like, do I want to do this? We tried to get enough people to combine to drive down there, and it's like, they weren't working with us. We wanted to work like 4 days to save on our travel time, and it's like, no, you got to work the 5 days. So we decided to look elsewhere, and like I said, I pretty much went to Richco right out of high school, so I didn't have no college background, didn't know anything about computers and stuff, so for 28 years it was pretty much, you know, running the shop and stuff. So then actually Sean from Truss Systems called me up and said, hey, why don't you come down by us and, you know, look at our place if you'd be interested in working for us. So I sat down with him, and they were up and down trying to get their second shift running, and he said, well, why don't you come aboard and try to get our second shift running? And so I came aboard. They had 2 experienced guys on second shift, and I said I'll help them out for a while until they decided what I wanted to do, and got involved with them, worked for probably around 2 months on second shifts, and finally came up to Sean. It's like they were bringing in bus loads of temp people, and it's like you didn't even know who they were. They just walked in the door, and it's like, this ain't working, you know, you're better off just starting with your first shift and building that up. And I worked there for like 2 years, and then it started to grow, like they needed more capacity, and then I finally told them, I'll go to second shift for whatever it takes to get the second shift rolling. So we ended up hiring like 5 people, no experience, and I kind of built that second shift to where it was when Drexel took over. So I stayed on second shift for probably, I'd say, almost under a year. It's probably around 7-8 months that I worked to get that second shift built to like 14 people. So, and after 8 years with Trust Systems, that's when Drexel came in, and I've been there for 2 years and 8 months, and I'm the production manager for Drexel Systems.
That's a little bit of history. I think we'll get into the future. Let's talk about Neil. We'll talk about the last 2.5 years in a little bit. So Neil, go ahead. Give a little background. I'm guessing your Trust history isn't as long as Mike's.
No, not even close. I started in steel manufacturing at a foundry in Rapids. I put 6 years in there, moved to Minneapolis, worked for a company called Carpentry Contractors Corporation for 4 years, doing field work, multifamily, etc., etc. Did a little time in a prefab shop for them, ended up coming back here, couldn't find anything, saw, just cruising the internet one day, Blinker Building Systems, Amherst, no idea anything was in Amherst whatsoever, didn't even know what the hell Amherst was. Put my application in, went out, got my interview with Rick, got hired, started in Amherst going on 10 years ago, started sheeting walls, then went to windows, then went to trusses, and then one day Rick said, why don't you go out and take over supervisor on the yard. Stayed out there for close to 6 years, and then Brian approached me and said, got an opening in the shop for a leader position, do you want to take it? Actually, he asked me first about second shift, and I said, no, I don't want to work second. And a little time went past. He said, well, why don't you come in and do it on first? I said yes, and that was 7 months ago, shortly after Drexel bought out Amherst.
And what are you doing right now?
Production leader on first shift in systems in Amherst.
Right.
So just leading, basically.
Yeah.
You know, troubleshooting anything that comes up.
And Mike, you're in charge of all 3 shifts?
3 shifts, correct.
Right. And you don't have Neil, you don't have anyone that's in charge of both shifts, right?
There's, I wouldn't say so.
Right. I mean, a leader, you'll probably need one of them when you go to 3 shifts.
I would assume so.
Right.
Perry Stewart is our second shift supervisor.
Shout out to Perry. What's up?
Yep.
Doing a great job.
Yes.
I don't run into him very much, but I doing a great job from what I hear.
No, Perry's a great leader. So we're just kind of a 50-50. You know, we work as a team.
Right. So interesting things. 2.5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
At that time, how many people maybe work there?
I'd say probably around close to 28, probably 30, if that.
And how many work there now?
Just over 60, 62.
I think I might have told you that 3 years ago that you were going to double. Did you believe me?
Not at that time.
I didn't think you did.
The biggest thing is to find the right people to build. You know, it's like you just gotta. Not everybody's out there to build trusses. So it's like I said, when we with Trust Systems, it's like if we had 20 applications when Drexel came in with their exposure, it's like. Still remember this day, it's like we put it on their website, and it's like not even 3 days into it, Caitlin said, oh shit, we got over 100 apps already. It's like, what, 100 apps? We couldn't even get 20 when we had Trust Systems, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was, I remember saying, hey, we'll find good people. That's not a problem. And the Trust Systems people, not your fault. If I'm correct, they all looked at me like I was nuts. Like, no, you're not. I'm like, yeah, we'll do it. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great, you know. And so, I mean, I think some things that we do is we got to pay people extremely well. You have to qualify them. You can't just pay. Oh, this is what we pay. You have to look at the real life sequence of what living wage, if you will, or what's a good pay. I always say you can't get rock stars if you don't pay rock star wages, right? Or I'm a sports guy. There's not too many NFL teams or any team that has the lowest payroll and wins the Super Bowl, World Series, right? I mean, if you think you're a Super Bowl team, you kind of got to go for it. World Series, whatever, right? Race cars. So that's been interesting for sure. So that was great. 24 hours a day, rocking it out. And our sales, I believe, have tripled, right? Not only, so we doubled our staff but tripled our sales. Is that right? Triple production?
And I just talked to Ross about it. From 2019, it was, I remember, 13 million or whatever, and already, in 2020 we're almost 18 million.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Crazy.
I don't know what it was during trust systems, but I know it was quite a bit less than that. So
yeah, that was 2019. Yeah, so I mean, I think they were 8 or 9. So crazy. So we'll triple production from 3 years ago.
Everybody says for the small location that we have to get that much out in a year is just amazing.
It's been amazing. It's been awesome. I didn't know anything about manufacturing. I came in and we came in at Drexel, and we didn't know a lot about manufacturing. Obviously, Mike's got 30 years on me plus, and Mike knew that side. But I had that. Sometimes when you're so close to the picture, you can't see the frame, and they couldn't see the frame really, right? Yeah. And so we came in with a fresh perspective, and that was hard because they knew I didn't really know yet. I really knew what was. I didn't know what exactly was wrong, and I didn't know how to say it, but I could sense it was wrong, right? So it was complicated, but it's been a fun ride. It's been great. So, you got any crazy stories from that transition at all? Anything funny that sticks out?
There's a few. I remember Andy coming in, and it's like walking through the shop, and we had a lot of people saying, "Boy, this is the cleanest cleanest trust system shop that we ever seen." And then Andy comes in, and it's like, we got to clean up stuff. So what do you got to clean up? Everybody praises how clean our shop is. If you didn't use it for 3 months, get rid of it. And it's like, okay, it's like we started cleaning stuff and I think, shit, we got rid of a lot of shit here, and it's like, it looks nice. And Andy comes in and says, we're going to bring out a couple ladies out here to see what their perspective is. And it's like, okay, no problem. And then Caitlin came out, and it's like, gee, what's this? And it's like, I got a whole new definition of what clean is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you keep it at that level now, right?
It was probably around 5-6 months ago. You came, probably longer than that. You came through and with a tour or whatever, and all of a sudden I got an email. It's like, or told someone, it's like, you got to get your shop cleaned up. And Ross came and told me that, and it's like, what is he talking about? It's clean. It's clean. And then I think I text you, and I said, well, I'll get the shifts all on it, to get stuff picked up, whatever was needed to get clean. And you email me back, and it's more or less lead by example. You clean, people, will clean after you. And see if your manager cleaning goes a long way. So I appreciate that. You got to look at yourself and others. So
yeah, if you walk by trash, you're allowing it.
yeah.
If you see even if you don't have that time, that minute as a leader to clean up that dirt at corner. I always say if the corners are dirty, everything's corner. So you start in your corners. That's where dirt starts, or the broom, or the chair that we don't use anymore. So you clean your corners first. And if you walk by it, and even if you're busy, and if you don't say that's got to be clean, you now are tolerating it. You're saying as a leader that's allowed in our company. Well, no, I preach safety and cleanliness all the time. No, you don't. You just walk by it. My dad taught me from Dale Michaels from Michaels Corporation. My dad just adored Dale. That's when they were very small. Now I think they have 5,000 or 8,000 team members over there. They may have had 10. And my dad said when Dale would be talking to you in the yard, as you walk the yard, he would stop, pick up a nail, put it in his pocket. Stop, pick up a little piece of paper, put it in his pocket. Yeah, he was an anal clean freak, like I am, but also he set an example. So you stop and you clean up, you pick up that Funyun bag. And if you don't, you're tolerating it, right? You're allowing it. So that's a good one. That's very good. That's great. One of my funny stories was of all the temp help you had. Kind of a cool one that I got emotional with about at the time, because I loved how Drexel could help people. The temp help couldn't get benefits, right? Because they're temp help, so they were just on straight hourly from the temp agency. And so we uniquely, if you have temp help, you can't really hire them full-time without a penalty, right? Because they don't want that sniped, and that's just how that works. Well, it was interesting, we weren't trust systems anymore. So we didn't have a contract with the temp help at Drexel.
Loopholes.
Loophole / whatever, reality, right? That's how it was.
Yep.
So we offered those people full-time jobs. And I'll never forget, I don't remember exactly the people's, I remember some of the people's names, but I won't say them. They didn't know what vacation was, and
Really?
they didn't know what benefits were. So I remember one person said, so you're gonna, and they said it like real quietly, like, so you're gonna pay me not to work? I said, yeah, that's how that works. They're like, really? They're like, yeah, I'm aboard, totally, good. Another person, was, insurance, health insurance, or that they got very emotional.
Yeah.
They weren't, the money they were making at the temp agency wasn't even able to pay the bills, just in a very sad way, right? So they were actually, even though they were working hard, they were actually losing a little bit more every single month, getting a little further behind. So kind of cool, you pay a temp agency a certain rate, they get paid a certain rate, temp agency got to make money, I get it.
Yep.
But we were able to actually save money at the new Drexel, but give them huge raises. So it's pretty cool. And you could do that like overnight, and it was cool. And it went from a mindset of, hey, we don't train a lot of this temp help, they come and go, to now they're our family, and everybody here is important. Does that make sense?
It does.
Cool. And how about you, Neil? So a year ago, right, a little over a year ago, when we went through this a little bit with a couple other podcasts, but you walked into a community center, thinking Blinkers, rocking it out, doing great.
Just another quarterly meeting.
Another quarterly meeting, yep. Nobody had a clue.
No.
Faintest clue, right?
Nope.
So I'm behind a curtain like this in the community center with Caitlin, Julie, and Andy, I think. We're just waiting there, like we know, and we know why they're there. And Jason starts talking, and he starts getting emotional, breaking down a little bit, and you could hear a pin drop.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And kind of announces it. They laugh, thinking he's joking, right? Like a pretty good laugh. One of the first couple of times he said it, he's like, "No, I'm not joking, right? This is an icebreaker." And then I came down and asked her a few questions, and as many as I could when everybody's shocked. So what changes have you seen, Neil? Without, Blinkers was a great company, Trust Systems was a great company. But what changes have you seen?
Lots of good ones. The one thing that I've always told people about when we went into that meeting and the announcement was made, like you could just like drop the bomb. We're not Blinker anymore. And a lot of people that still work there and worked there at the time, like even myself included. So Jason gave me a job. He allowed me to provide for my family for 10 years now. So you have almost like a real personal connection, or a feeling of that connection, because he allowed you to provide for your family. Now it's like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? But what I tell people is, if he would have made the announcement and then here's my resignation immediately following that, I would have probably panicked at that point. But he stayed on board, never mentioned anything about it. That shows me, and should have showed everybody at the time, that he had faith and he believed in what we were going into next. So that made everything 100 times easier, at least for me to accept. Like, yep, the guy that I've looked to as a leader over the past 9 years, now he knows the direction that we're going. He has faith, he's excited about it. That makes everything 100 times easier. But as far as crazy goes, it wasn't during the transition. It was like 4 months ago when somebody came walking down the hallway in Amherst and said, "Hey, how's the day going?" And I said, "Great." And they said, "No, it's not. I want perfect fucking panels today." And from that point on, our quality has gone through the roof.
Who said that?
You said that. Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Like, I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure at the time. Like, I don't know if you were joking or not, but then I was like, oh shit, he's for real. Like, yup, get on the floor, slow it down, focus on what we're doing, make sure we get a quality product out to the customer, And ever since then, it's been great. Can't
Really
argue
has.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was just a subtle mind shift, right? Just a shift from how much more footage, what's the next job, how can we get it out,
Yes.
to a shift of quality first, people first.
Yep.
You know, something I've just been saying the last week, I read it in a book, people over profits. You'll be hearing that a lot at Drexel in the next 12 months. You know, yes, profits are important, but if you put people first, the profits will actually go up. So people over profits, which also means quality over profits.
Right.
Because people are quality. Quality is pride. Quality is people. It's all really the same thing. And it really wasn't, it was talked about a lot, I think, but it really wasn't a focus.
It wasn't
It wasn't a
applied.
true focus.
Right. It wasn't applied.
It wasn't applied, right? It was talked about, but was it actually, are we really literally willing to throw those panels away and start over if this isn't right?
Right.
Well, no, I didn't say that.
No.
Now it's like, yes, I mean that. Like, I would rather lose money on a job and have it right to the customer so they buy from us again,
Right.
and have it right to the person and right for that customer's home, and lose money. Can't do that long term, but again, to do it right is way more important, in my opinion. And way more fun, way more pride in your job. You get better people, right? I mean, there's a lot of dominoes that come with that besides just repeat business and profits, right?
Right.
So I think that's really huge. And yes, I've seen noticeable difference. Our customers have, so it's super cool.
Right.
Really starting to get fun now.
It used to be get feedback, oh my God, panic, fix this, and now it's, it's a team of people that come together to focus on the feedback from the field. What are the trends? What do we need to watch for? How do we need to go about snuffing the negative trends and then encouraging the positive trends to happen?
Yeah. Well, and it's getting to the root of the problem, right?
Yes.
Instead of putting the fire out, fixing the problem, it's like, well, why was the panel made bad? I don't know. We gotta get to the next job. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
Well, we're just set up to repeat the mistake again.
Right.
Right? I mean, we're just set up to fail again because we didn't get to the root.
Right.
And to me, it's always either, I'm not as good as manufacturing as you guys, but it's either a process problem or it's a people problem. So you have to define that. If it's a people problem, well, then it's training or you have the wrong people. Process problem, let's talk through that. But there's a reason that went bad. So we have to stop what we're doing, shut it down, and say, with a team effort, because there's different eyeballs and perception, it shouldn't be one person, in my opinion. Multiple people saying, okay, I'll take this back to our teams and really educate them. Because I don't think as humans, when you hire good people, nobody wants to do a bad job.
No.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like, well, that's just how this third shift is, I'm like, no. Because they don't sleep at night, that means they want to do a bad job. That's nuts.
Right.
Shout out to any second or third shift there. I don't know if you guys know this, but I say this a lot. Second shifters are my second favorite group of people. Third shifters are my favorite group of people. They are sacrificing so much and bring so much to our company. And I rarely see them, which again is even why I appreciate them more, because who does? And for them to really be team blue and be connected and not be the graveyard shift, or no one talks to us, or we do our own thing, or we're not as productive, or we have huge turnover. It's all corny. Like, they're super important, they're super awesome, and I love them all to death. I really do. I know I don't ever see you guys if you're watching or listening, but I really appreciate what they do. Super.
Yeah, like I said, every day I come in, seeing them, it's like, geez, you're at 10 o'clock and it's 6 in the morning. It's like crazy.
Yeah, they do a great job, and you'll have a third shift soon. We got to take care of those girls and fellows like nothing else. Treat them like gold, I think that's a huge deal. I know they do it. Some of them do it for financial reasons. Some of them just can't sleep at night. Some of them do it for daycare. For whatever reason they do it, God bless them, because it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that they can do for us.
It's a rough shift, man. Third is a rough shift to work. Like once you're in the swing of it, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But man, when you start off working third, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Although some people love it, I've done it for years and years and years. So again, it's
people are
not
bred for it.
Meant for it, which is great. Again, God bless them, and they really are my favorite shift. So, and when we do things, we always have to remember, how does this affect a third shift person? How does this affect a second shift person? Because we can never think, it's hard for us to walk in other people's shoes. But I think when we make company decisions, we have to say, did we take care of third shift too? Did we take care of second shift too? I never want to forget their voice, and I never want to not give them a voice, right? So
Right.
both things.
Well, they're part of the team. That's the thing that you probably work first. I work first. Myself and my leads, like you cannot. It's not first and second. You can't forget about we're a team.
Right.
You have an extended team that you have to communicate with and let them know what's going on and make sure they know all the things they need to know to be successful.
Yeah, and if you're doing something really cool, when you fix it on second, third, first shift, bring it everywhere because we're a team, right? And bring it to both locations, whatever that is. It's helping out everybody. Sorry guys, I got a cold, so clamming up here. It's not COVID.
No Rona.
CDC just said today, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask indoors. So that should be it for mask. Optional. So
Hope so.
almost has to be. Like CDC just said it. I don't know what else you'd be waiting for.
I don't know. I'm done with that.
Yeah, I'm done with it. I think you and a lot of people were just done with it.
Yep.
Somebody just told me today, I just wish we were done talking about it. I'm like, well, we're getting closer, hopefully. So I agree. So that's kind of our present, I think. Future is really exciting. So we have an accepted offer on the land in Wrightstown for the Little Chute project. Do you guys know how much that's going to cost, our new roof shop?
I do not.
That's great. This is good. I'm going to make you guess. So this is land, equipment, building, landscaping, the whole enchilada.
Saying 13 million.
13 million.
25.
27 million.
Yeah, that was close.
Like mic drop, pen drop. $27 million, robotic. Should be able to double our capacity. Very, very cool. Talk about clean. Guess what color the walls are?
Blue.
White.
White?
Why are they white?
So you can see when it's dirty.
So it won't be dirty. It's going to look like a medical clinic in there.
Is it?
Yes,
Is it, Mike?
it is.
Blue shows more dust.
Yeah. Well, I believe Jason negotiated the robots, and I believe the robots are going to be blue. So
Like I
he
said, with
negotiated
it
the paint
being
job.
all enclosed, it should be a lot better. When you open doors up
Yeah.
that little chute, it's like you can sweep the floor and 2 minutes later it's filled. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So yeah, fully undercover. Inventory will be undercover. Everything's gonna be undercover. So it's gonna be pretty crazy. Really crazy. Yeah. So it'll go through. Oh, I don't have that data. I wish I did. We actually have to. The spur has to be extended so far because it's gonna go through that many rail cars. How many rail cars is it gonna go through? I thought it was 5 rail cars a week. A week. It's a tremendous amount. We'll have to have staff actually just to take off the rails.
Right.
There'll be full-time people that just take off the lumber off the rails. We anticipate that's how much volume. Well, you've been in Little Chute. You see how much we go through in a day. We're doubling that every day.
Well, and 5 a week really doesn't sound. We unloaded enough cars out in the yard. Like 5 a week doesn't seem too bad. It's like when you get to 5 a day, then you're like, oh my God, how do I handle this?
Yeah, a day.
A day.
Yeah, and then tomorrow is 5 more, right? Like you can't well, Neil's off today. They're just going to do 10 cars tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. No, not with CN. It doesn't work like that.
Right. No, they're going to keep coming. So that'll be interesting. I don't know how we're going to do that, but it's going to be really fun. So that's wild.
Two guys, rail cars all day, every day.
Yeah. So we'll see what we do in Little Chute. There's just had a recent topic that we'll keep that open. You don't know how much volume we can do, and do maybe custom out of there or things that maybe the robots aren't super good at. So I don't know if that would that's more of a financial even than beyond people. Does that make sense to keep that open? It's kind of like going to a multi-cool dairy farm and you still have the 40 cows you milk in the backyard. I don't know if that's going to work or not. But it could be overflow, but again, you can't just have it sit there for overflow. So we'll see. I don't know. It's curious how that goes. So, and then we're coming to Amherst.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So I think we're breaking ground in July is the goal in Wrightstown. And within 12 months, then we'd be up and running with that facility. And then Amherst will get the full attention somewhat after that.
Right.
Plenty of land up there. There'll be robots then. And see where we're at then. So we're looking at different wall designs right now. So we're looking at Oxford product on the wall, which does not require Tyvek. It's a 1-inch structural.
Yep.
But not like the Neo where you have the OSB and then the wall.
Yep.
So this would simply just be a 1-inch structural and then just tape, which eliminating Tyvek at the factory would be really nice.
Fairly excited about seeing that come through.
Correct.
At least on that trail's edge.
Yeah.
Like, what is it going to look like?
Yeah, we're test pilot just for the pod. We're test piloting a project. Not test pilot. We're doing a project for a large scale project, commercial job in West Bend, using the Oxboard product. Oxboard's been around for a long time. We're excited how efficient it can be at the plant, I think is what you're alluding to.
Yes, lighter product, easier to handle, no tieback. It's supposed to be self-healing, so overdrives are okay. Yeah, everything about it. Like, yeah.
Self what?
Self-healing. It's supposed to be self-healing.
What does that mean?
So when you overdrive the staple through the surface, it's
Oh.
supposed to close around it.
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, sounds on paper.
Or it
very
gives it a
exciting.
little bit of, from the videos I watch, there's a little give with the staple, which is maybe a fancy term.
Right, and it's not like.
You don't have to be flush, you can be a little bit under flush.
Yep. And like, where if you overdrive zip too bad, then you have to go back and tape every overdrive, and eliminates that altogether.
Correct.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
wait. Yes.
So hopefully, we're meeting with Friday to see how much more we want to commit to the Oxboard. So that would be fun, but we'll keep working towards that. We're putting more and more windows in the walls, which has large benefits for the customer, contractor, builder, and us.
Yeah.
More shipping, lots more trailers on order, so we're scaling that up pretty rapidly. So that's going pretty good. Fun stuff.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So you wanted to ask about the market.
Yeah. It's
What's
on everybody's
your
mind,
question?
right?
What does that mean to you?
So everybody knows it's going up, up, up.
Like the hat, make lumber cheap again?
Yes,
Right? Okay.
that's exactly what needs to happen.
Right.
And I think people have the grasp on the basic concept that it cannot continue forever. Like, this is not a sustainable practice, what we're going through right now.
No, not at all.
No, so where's the wall?
Right.
When's the wall coming?
Yeah, what's that mean? So, like, root of the problem, the basic root of the problem is the industry was planning to build 1.4 million homes. We're building 1.7 million homes on pace for this year. Yeah, that'll do it, right? So that's the root of it.
Right.
Little COVID, little tariffs, little panic in the market, a little bit of resin pricing. I mean, a little bit, but end of the day, we're just 300,000 homes short. Okay, here we go, right? Now, what's happening very quickly, interesting enough, the big box stores just this week are not taking all the shipments. Right? The media latched onto this lumber thing. Hats were made, and people know, right? It's a joke on the internet with the memes and whatnot. And so people, the do-it-yourselfers, big box stores go through a tremendous amount of product. I believe around 2 million board feet a week. And if my numbers were right, I believe they only ordered like 1.8 2 weeks ago, and now 1.6 this week. Right now, I don't know if that's a drop in the bucket or globally, if that's a lot, but either way, there's less supply. In fact, if you go to our local box stores, and my dad does secret shop there quite a bit, he just likes to see the vibe, doesn't buy anything, just sees the vibe, and they're loaded to the bare with OSB and treated. Because I correctly so, I'm not building a deer stand right now.
Right.
I'm not building a dog house. I'm not, and that happened all last year, right? So my wife wants a treated picnic table. I'm not spending $350 to buy you a picnic table right now. So that's kind of all been put on hold. Now, will that bring enough supply back in to offset new home construction? I'm not sure. Commercial projects are absolutely being put on hold. However, that's 12 or 18 months out. Residential is being put on hold a little bit, but again, every builder primarily is 12 or 18 months out. So contracts aren't actually being canceled, it's just new work's not coming in. So what does that all mean? It's possible supply could just shrink down. Demand could shrink down through the big box stores not needing demand because do-it-yourselfers aren't doing anything until the price comes down. Leveling things off in a nice flat pattern. We get back to somewhat normal, probably higher, much higher than we're used to, but sustainable to keep going. I call it a black swan, which means a really big problem's going to happen, right? Or the matrix, or I call it a wounded knee, which is, the Lakota Indians. It's when the American soldiers finally just killed a whole tribe of American Indians and kind of ended the war. So the worst case scenario. What happened, I think, right? Inflation's going through the roof. So to control inflation, what has to happen in the government is your interest rates go up. Right? At the same time, then, if interest rates go up and inflation goes up so high and it keeps soaring, it's going to be a complete market. Usually the only way to stop a tremendous price increase is what? People stop buying. And when they stop buying, if you watch the Thanos Marvel movies, snap your fingers and it's a universe reset, I think the market go to zero. There's no residential, there's no commercial, so be careful what you wish for the market to come down, right?
Right.
But that wouldn't be sustainable. In our country, we need about 1.1 million, 1.2 million homes to be built just for people coming into our country, people growing into homes, still the American dream. So they wouldn't go for zero for long, but I think there could be a market reset. I really do, and the prices would soar back down. So really confusing and really interesting is Joel, why didn't you just buy every piece of lumber you could in the last 3 months, knowing the price is just going through the roof? If there's a market reset, we have about $15 million in lumber on the ground. If lumber crashed, it was worth 50% of its value in 30 days. Totally could happen. Nobody's building, no one's buying at the box stores. Commercial jobs have soared because it's just $120 a sheet for OSB, which we're on the path for, right, or whatever. Yeah. If that happens, right, our inventory would be worth $7. Our builders are going to pay $8 for it, right? We got to make a profit. Our inventory is worth $15. Some lumberyard, some yard probably didn't have inventory and is selling it for $8. We don't have that great a customer service where everyone's going to say, yeah, I love you guys, I'll just pay double the market. So I'm not concerned or worried for us, but I guess I don't worry about others either, but there's a very big potential risk that some component plant or lumberyards will go out of business not understanding what they're doing because they're buying as much as, because we have lost a few jobs to builders that were shopping us, and somebody out there said, yeah, I'll guarantee your price and I'll buy the lumber for you now. Right? And they do that for a lot of customers, and they got their yard full of cheap inventory. Well, that all works really good until Thanos goes and they're out of business because all the builders go, I'm sorry, I can't pay $60 a sheet, I got to pay $30. Right. Like, but I got it sitting out here at $50 a sheet, I bought it for, like, not my problem, which it isn't. So that's interesting, huh? Yeah. So that's my market prediction. As far as being worried about your job, market reset, we're going to be laying guys off. I don't want to do that. We're just getting up and running. We're in third shift. When that happens at Drexel, what we do is we take market share. And just like you kind of got to have faith that you can find good people to bring a third shift on. It sounds a little corny, but what market share means is we have we do about 10% of all the trusses in Wisconsin, which sounds kind of cool, but there's 90% that we don't do. Right. So we just got to go find that business. So all of us turn into salesmen, right? We all get fat and lazy right now. Our neighbor might be putting up a garage and maybe we didn't swing over there with a beer and saying, hey, I see a foundation. Or are we getting that at Drexel, right? Maybe we're not all doing that right now. Maybe we all are, I don't think so. Right? We're like, well, I don't know, hopefully he gets it from us, whatever. Right. We turn into mass salesmen. We won't let an order slip through. So that's our plan, right? If we have 100% market share and the market goes down 50%, yeah, then you're 50% down. If you just plan on gaining market share, you go get after it. So that's our plan.
Build more trusses. That's what I heard. Hurry up.
Right. Right. So where do you guys see, what has changed for 30, one question for you, Mike, on 30 years. Biggest thing that has changed in roof truss, anything, materials, design, plates, the people, the expectations, like what has actually changed, and like what do you think the number one, two, three things that have changed?
20-some years ago, 25 years ago, we didn't have automated lines. Everything was set up by hand. It's just amazing just watching people just put trusses together. It's like no thinking, jig sets up, throw your lumber in, mark your overhangs. And
how much faster is it?
I would say, setting it up by hand, you're talking probably around 10, 15 minutes down to probably around 2 minutes, if that minute.
With a lot less risk factor of doing something wrong. Yeah. Your brain can just fart when you're setting that jig up and it's all wrong, right?
And even the saws, everything is computerized. Years back, it was all manual. You had to sit there and hope you had the degree set right.
How many saws on our big saw?
On what? On
our big saw, how many saws is on that machine?
6 blades.
6 blades. Yeah, 6 saws, 6 blades. Yeah. Right, and then it can cut like
45s.
Yeah, any different angle all at the same time, right? Okay, crazy. And you have the auto picker, on yours.
The blade has a wood runner. Yep.
Right, so we have a blade at both machines. And that's made by what company? Is that a MyTech?
Do you believe it's a MyTech blade?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, cool. The new factory's still gonna have a blade, I think?
Yeah, well, we're bringing our old one.
You are, yeah, right, just automating it up a little bit. Some of the technology has changed.
Yeah, if machine breaks down and you have to have someone set up by hand, it's like, set up by manual, it's like, well, how do we do this again, you know, so it's weird.
What are your concerns at the Amherst? You know, you guys are doing the off-site construction, you guys do the roofs and the floors. You guys are doing off-site construction. What excites you about off-site construction, right? We're one of the only few in the state that do it. You're one of the only few companies that do it. What do you think our future challenges are? What are you excited about as a leader? Where's your head at right now?
I'm wondering when we're going to start putting more into the panel. Like, when is it going to come?
What does that mean?
Electrical runs, insulation, you know, how much of a finished panel. I've heard mutterings over the years, and I've seen some stuff from the European markets that's like, holy shit, they do just about everything right in the plant. So when is that? How much value is there in that? Can you get people to buy it? When is it coming? Do we start small? Like, you know, who wants it? Number one,
Right.
Just do people want it? I can't imagine you wouldn't want it.
Right. I get it. Fundamentally, you would say if robots or humans can do it in a controlled setting, why would I do it in the field? And like, it's hard to have labor help. It's Wisconsin, environmental controls.
Right.
I mean, I do think Wisconsin is much different than a European factory for houses. They're repeatable.
Right.
They are literally building the same house. People don't do these custom designs. So we are doing custom designs, which makes it trickier. I still think it's down the road, but yeah, there's so many interesting options. You know, a pre-built tile shower in a factory, and then you just set it with a crane, right?
Right.
So you put all the plumbing in, you put all the tile in. I mean, you're saving weeks at a job site.
Right.
And what's the difference, right? Well, you just set it with a crane. It's perfect.
Well, it's supposed to be. That's the
Interesting.
goal. That's
right.
the goal.
Right. But I mean, it's
That's
a
good.
controlled setting environment
Right.
anyway.
Right.
And it's speed at the job site. So yeah, it'll be interesting through the years how far we can push it with a value add. I mean, Oxboard's no different, right? So Oxboard 1 inch thick wall, and it's a 2x4 wall inside. I talked to a few builders, and they're like, well, homeowners are going to freak out. They're going to perceive that's a cheaper house with a 2x4. Right now, is that reality? In my opinion, homeowners aren't educated as they were. They aren't looking at your wall. They're not baby boomers. They're not World War II vets going, that's a shitty wall. It's 2x4s. I don't think they even know. But the builder still thinks they know. I think most consumers would say that's fine. If you think that's an R20 and you're telling me the house ain't going to blow over from a tornado, I'm not questioning if you're building a cheaper home. But that doesn't mean the builder's mindset's not there, right? The builder wants to still build a quality house. So even if that's true, and it's coming in about $3,000 less than OSB as well, right? And they were sold on Tyvek for 20 plus years. So it's a radical shift. So it's not easy. You know, it's easy for us because like, yeah, it's great. But it's getting each individual builder there and then each individual homeowner there. So that's interesting too.
Yeah. Well, it's the same with just offsite in general. You know, they got to buy into it. You got a guy, 50, 60-year-old builder that's stick framed his entire life. Is he gonna go for offsite? But I mean, I've done stick framing in the field in Minnesota, and I know the advantages of it firsthand. Like, yeah, set panels. Like, how can you not want a house in a handful of days versus a handful of weeks? It's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to a job site and you see how clean it is and smooth it is, and when it goes right, and you even see people driving by, and you know, the spouse and the husband are setting up a lawn chair and they want to see their house built today.
Right.
Like, that's just cool shit.
Yeah.
It really, really is. And how can you not want to do that, especially in environmental conditions, right? Like, I'm gonna have your roof covered in 3 days.
Right. Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, and our price is right in line right now. I mean, we're within. The goal has always been to be within the same price, obviously. Right now, we're only about 5% more on average on any given job. So yeah, for 5%.
Yeah. Why not?
Why wouldn't you, right? In my opinion.
Right.
But we're that way, right?
Well, anybody that I tell, you know, anybody that might hear, oh, I'm going to build a house, like, yeah, you need to build through us. And then why what are the advantages of building through us? And when you tell them, you know, build just a medium-sized ranch, nothing overly fancy, and you can be roof on in a handful of days. It's, wow, what? Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah, it's 4 days.
Yep.
We're in and out. Roof's on. Get your mechanicals lined up.
Yep.
I mean, it's the future.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. It's really cool. All right, guys. Anything else that you really were desperate to talk about?
I got nothing.
All right, so we got to do the billboard conversation. So you got every podcast we do this. You have a huge billboard. Put anything you want on it. Speak to the masses. What do you put on it?
Yeah, Mike, what do you put on it?
I have two of them. One is not my problem. It goes back to not my monkey from, I don't know how many months ago when that came out, when you had that email go out, take care of your own monkey.
Yeah. Just don't get. I mean, just do. If you just do your job, it's the Patriots. Young Patriots, do your job.
It's
Like
kinda-
football. The linebacker can't worry about what the safety's doing. Safety can't say, well, I can't really make this tackle because I don't think the cornerback's got his guy back there. Just do your job. Not my monkey. Not my problem.
That's Mark and I. He's the scheduler upstairs. It's kind of a joke between me and him. He brings some stuff. It's like, I can't get this job. It's going up Tuesday, and he always brings it to me and says, "That's not my problem. Figure it out."
Yeah, your job is to make it.
And,
Yeah.
It's a lot of. It's not so much just work. It's everything on the news. You hear, people venting. It's not my problem. It's it's. I just kind of like that saying.
Well, if you can't fix it, why worry about it is what
Yeah,
you're saying, right? I mean,
exactly.
if
Too
I
many
can't.
people go home worrying about stuff. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, somebody got shot in Arizona. Like, well, what the hell? What's going on there?
Yeah.
I can't fix that. I can't help it. I don't know. I just don't watch the news.
So my other one is kind of family. It's live every day as if it's your last. I'd have a picture of a blue sky. A lot of it's just looking in the sky, saying you don't know what tomorrow's going to be like. So
It's never given.
never given. I lost my parents when I was younger or whatever. So it's.
How old were you?
My mom was 46 with cancer.
Oh, goodness.
So I was probably around 24 years old.
What a tough
at that
deal. I'm
time.
sorry.
So-
Yeah.
And my dad, he just passed away around 3 years ago. So it's one of those things. Don't take life for granted.
Yeah.
Every day is. If it's your last.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit, I mean, I know, Mike, you're a huge worker like I am growing up, right? And I think you and I have talked about that, 60, 70-hour work weeks, whatever it takes to get the job done. And that's still required once in a while, but that's kind of why I've become more and more obsessed with the 40-hour work week, too.
Yeah,
If it was your last day, would you work a 14-hour day?
yeah, exactly.
Would you work a 12-hour day? I would do it once in a while.
Yeah.
If I knew it was my last, I'd probably take off a little early and go fishing, right, or something else. So that 40-hour work week, I think, is huge. You get those guys, being when you're at work, give her like hell, put your phone away, rock it out, and then get the hell out of there. Let's get some shit done and then go. So I think that's a big thing. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for sharing it.
Mine would, it's gonna sound corny, but mine would just say lead by example. But there would probably be a picture of an adult hand with a child hand in it, because I learned from my dad. 37 years in a paper mill, never once bitched, never once missed a day. I never saw that guy calling one time in all my years growing up. And I tell my kids the same thing, like I go to work unless I'm dead. Like that's just what was instilled in me when I was growing up. That's the way I expect my children to work. Like legitimate gripes are one thing, but you don't bitch to just bitch. You go to work, you do your job, you do your best, and you go home. And you expect to be taken care of at the same time. So that's what I would
Lead by
put in
example.
mind. Lead by example.
I think that's good. And
It's
I think
not
both,
just for work.
Yeah, I think both of you have a quieter mindset, like watch me, I'll show you, right? So it's great.
38 years without a day calling in. I never called in one day.
That's awesome.
Knock on wood.
As I'm coughing and nearly death over here.
I can't say I've never called in, but in my 10 years in Amherst, there's only maybe been one time, and I was sick, like sick. Could not get up and go to work.
That's awesome. You're a good man. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. That
Yep.
wraps up pod number 30.
Thank you.
You guys did great. Cheers, everybody. We're out. I gotta turn this off. He'll edit this part out. Not really fine. 49 minutes. Can you believe that?
almost an hour, real close.
Oh, longer than that?